You paid for meat. Did you actually buy water, chemicals, and yesterday's leftovers with a new sticker? You're in the right place. Today, I'm naming 5 chains where wet chicken, relabeled dates, and sloppy temps turn your cart into a gamble. Then showing you 3 stores that do it right. Let's start with the tricks: saltwater enhancing that bloats weight, grind mixing that hides age, and reheated fresh that was thawed in the back. Stay to the end for the one place that pairs prime quality with real value, so you stop wasting money and stop risking dinner. Quick favor before we move on. If you appreciate this content, consider giving this video a like and subscribing to the channel. Believe it or not, more than 92% of viewers haven't subscribed yet. It's free and only takes a second, but it means the world to us. So did you subscribe already? Great. Thank you so much for your support. Now back to the video. If your chicken leaks like a soaked sponge and your burger meat turns brown by dinner, the label probably left out the part that matters. What you're seeing is the fallout of 3 quiet moves: a saltwater enhance that adds weight, but not meat, date flips that reset the clock, and meat cases that run warm enough to speed spoilage.
A key ingredient for hot dish keeps getting more and more expensive, and it's causing sticker shock at butcher shops and grocery stores. Why is ground beef so expensive?
Just about everyone has seen or been dealing with higher grocery bills, especially when it comes to meat in particular.
Crazy to think of when I started 20 years ago that prices seemed so low and so manageable.
It looks like a deal. It eats like regret. Let's start with the 5 chains called out for these patterns: Food Lion, Kroger, Walmart, Stop & Shop, and Aldi. Value shoppers get hit hardest because low price tags hide watered-down product, shuffled dates, and slack handling. You pay less per pound, then lose it in the pan and on shelf life. The math favors the store, not your skillet. Food Lion's wet chicken spells it out in tiny print. Up to 15% added solution. That brine adds weight at the register and drains in your sink and skillet. When it cooks off, you're left with smaller portions, loose texture, and bland taste. You didn't save. You subsidized water. Now the heat problem. Safe meat cases sit in the cold zone. Reports of higher case temps mean faster bacterial growth. A small rise, just a few degrees, can double growth rates, which shortens the window from looks fine to off. That's why time in the case matters as much as time on the label.
People love it, so there's great demand for it. People want to cook more of it. You didn't make much money raising cattle for the last 10 years, and people don't like to work hard at things that don't pay them. And we have fewer cattle, and people are having to spend more to buy those cattle to turn it into that ground beef. And so it's a chain reaction that has many years of consequence. In fact, Americans will eat more beef this year than last year at record prices.
Our suppliers are just kind of telling us that the cattle supplies are a little bit smaller.
Kroger's roulette is the grind. The incentive is simple: avoid waste by mixing older trim with fresh. Adding consistent suppliers and you get surprise in every package. Ground meat is higher risk because more surface area means more places for bacteria. Food safety basics: grind close to when you sell, keep it cold, and don't blend yesterday into today. Walmart leans on premium and butchers language that sounds like grades but isn't. Add claims of thawed then sold as fresh, and you have to ask what you actually bought. Stop & Shop and Aldi round it out with relabeling and opaque sourcing. If you can't trace it, you can't trust it. Read the tiny date fonts, press the pad for dark fluid, and be wary of meat that glows too red to be real. Now that you know the traps, let's talk about the places that treat meat like food, not inventory.
I think we try to keep it under $6 a pound just about a year ago.
In 1975, the number of beef cattle in the U.S. peaked at 47.5 million. Today, there's just under 28 million, the lowest number since the 1960s. In August 2024, Americans were paying about $5.58 a pound for ground beef. But this August, it jumped to $6.32 a pound.
What happens when a store treats meat like a craft, not a cost center? You stop guessing. You start getting meat that cooks clean, holds moisture, and tastes like it should. Let's start with the short list that pairs transparency with tight controls: Wegmans, Whole Foods, and Costco. You expect to pay more for that. The twist is, bite for bite, these 3 often beat the cheap spots. Less water loss, tighter dates, and better handling means you throw out less and eat more of what you bought. Value per bite. not price per pound. Wegmans runs its counter like a real butcher shop. Trained cutters handle custom orders, trim with care, and grind beef several times a day. Fast turns mean less time in the case, so you bring home meat that's still in its sweet spot. That shows up in the pan as steady browning instead of steam and sputter. There's food safety behind that. Fresh grinding limits how long bacteria have to multiply, and strict cold control slows growth even more.
Other factors impacting prices include the higher cost of feed and tariffs on beef imports.
We are noticing more people buying pork and chicken as well, but they still want their beef.
Drought conditions the past several years stifled grass growth, which feeds cows. Swanson says that forced farmers to shrink their herds, leading to fewer calves being born. High demand, coupled with low supply, is a boon for cattle ranchers, but it's leaving butchers and their customers a little lean in the wallet.
Ground beef made the same day holds together, sears faster, and leaks less liquid because the proteins haven't broken down in the tray. Whole Foods leans on hard rules and proof. No antibiotics ever. Third-party checks. You can trace cuts back to source, so you know what you're paying for. Their step ratings tie animal stress to texture and flavor, because stressed animals make tougher meat. Clear sourcing and tight date policies lock out the relabel shuffle. That traceability matters. When origin is tracked and dates are strict, it's harder for tired product to sneak back with a fresh face. Independent audits add a second set of eyes, which keeps the process honest. Now the value twist. Costco buys prime and choice at scale, rotates hard, and flags tenderized cuts so you know how to cook them.
Now it's kind of a scary time where prices are so high that we have to keep a closer eye on it.
He's talking specifically about ground beef prices, which he's selling at just over $7 a pound. Swanson is an agriculture economist with Wells Fargo. What is leading to fewer herds right now?
We're trying not to raise the prices every week. We're keeping a close eye on it.
Prices stay sharp, and returns are easy if something is off. The sweet spot for price and quality is often here. Buy the big packs, portion, and freeze with care, and you get steakhouse results without playing store roulette. You now have the map. Avoid the traps and shop the counters that act like butchers, not marketers. Meat isn't a mystery when you know the tells. Wet packs, neon red shine, and date flips drain your wallet and dull your dinner. You pay twice, once at the register, again in the pan. If this saved you guesswork, like and subscribe. Share it with the friend who keeps chasing bargains that shrink to scraps. You might want to steer them to the counters where butchers would shop for their own families. Wegmans, Whole Foods, and Costco. Stores that prize clear labels and tight control. Next, we'll test store-grind beef side by side and see which one lasts 48 hours in your fridge without going gray.